We are all aware and have heard that self-awareness is an important and highlighted step in the process of self-improvement. You've probably heard how amazing it is to be self-aware, and although this is true, has anyone told you about the potential negative side effects? Certain psychological tolls can be imposed by being very self-aware, which, ironically, we are unaware of. What exactly does it mean to be self-aware? Being self-aware simply means being aware of what you are doing, why you are doing it, and what motivates you to do it. This includes both behaviors and internal feelings. The ability to judge our current mental state makes up the majority of our self-awareness. For example, if I'm having a bad day because someone was rude to me while I was running errands, I'll probably be irritated for the rest of the day, or the majority of it. This can have implications, such as taking everything spoken to me personally, not being as enthusiastic about things as I usually am, intentionally distancing myself, and so on. While all of these actions/feelings are legitimate since they come from a reason, they are not always beneficial or meaningful to me. Having said that, our mental state influences our behavior and can even affect our physical health. It is a cybernetic loop, according to Anthony Robbins in his book, Unlimited Power. Our actions are influenced by our internal representation, which includes how and what we imagine in our minds. Things like our words and actions, our breathing patterns, and general physiological cues like blushing. This has an impact on our physiology, including posture, muscle tension, biochemistry, and so on. Taking the opposite approach to these three things is also effective. Our behavior, in turn, influences our mental state, and our physiology can have an effect. For example, if you're sitting in an uncomfortable posture, physiology, you'll wiggle about a lot, behavior, diverting your attention away from what the person in front of you is saying, mental state, internal representation. With this understanding of the three key components to consider when thinking about self-awareness, we can conclude that our society would become even more illogical if we allowed every minor irritation, such as the one indicated in the opening paragraph, to affect us. This is the point at which self-awareness becomes useful. We allow things to happen in order to keep our own and others' peace of mind, knowing that our actions may damage those who do not deserve it. Everyone has some level of self-awareness. Some are more self-aware than others, and vice versa. Some people have mastered this concept and used it to such a degree that they can keep control over their behavior despite changes in their physiology or mental state. This is significant since behavior is the only thing that others can immediately observe. The difficulty now is how to achieve and define the maximum level of self-awareness. How to be self-aware. Everyone have some measure of self-awareness, as previously indicated. For example, we can pinpoint the underlying feeling we are experiencing at the moment. Feelings like anger, comfort, happiness, despair, and so on. To achieve a higher level of self-awareness, we must first understand why we are feeling the way we are. Most of the time, this is simple, but the expertise comes in more challenging situations, such as when something you experienced or heard makes sense. So, what actually troubled you? Follow the incident step by step to determine the exact time when the dreadful pit in your stomach appeared. It is crucial to consider an individual's behavior, emotional state, and physiological state simultaneously. As previously said, they all feed off of one another in an endless loop. It does not occur during the day or night. It's a lengthy process that requires patience and experience. In theory, everything appears to be clear. On the other hand, it necessitates a significant amount of mental effort when implemented. Furthermore, self-analysis may not be sufficient to determine the source of certain of your feelings. We can seek help in this scenario from others, such as family and friends. It would be preferable, however, to speak with an impartial party. Friends and family cannot explain themselves more clearly since they have preconceived views about you before you speak to them honestly. Making judgments without being influenced by the opinions of others is difficult. Naturally, not everyone has the financial means to seek counseling, so one option is to just talk to friends and family. You'd be amazed how many individuals take advantage of the opportunity, especially when given the choice of being as cruel as possible. Speaking with a friend or acquaintance who is familiar with you but not emotionally committed is another option. However, I understand how awful that conversation could be, especially if you intend to meet them again. Furthermore, because you have your own beliefs and opinions about yourself, the preconceived notions we discussed may make it more difficult to identify the source of your feelings. They will impact every idea we have, whether they are long-held principles and beliefs or new self-perceptions that have formed over time. In other words, as Pessoa put it, one of the drawbacks of great self-awareness is that everything you say, feel, or do appears insignificant. It's comparable to seeing a poorly executed film. You can see the performer's activities and reasonably understand what they are doing, but you cannot feel their emotions. Not comprehending, not feeling a connection, not even a fleeting one. This may affect people in a variety of ways. Some people prefer to accept things as they are, convinced that they are already on the correct track in life. Overall, they take an indifferent posture, which they are perfectly content with. Some people go to extremes in order to feel a shift within themselves. Some people may begin to focus solely on their own or other people's lives. The absence of feeling leads to a slow and deepening detachment from everything. Right now, nothing appears to make sense. One of the more dangerous side effects is that it essentially goes worse from there. Our ability to interact with others is one of the features that defines us as emotionally intelligent people. One may argue that people are social beings by nature. As a result, anything removed from its natural habitat begins to decompose. In this circumstance, a person may become so emotionally empty of sensation that they are only existing and occupying space. Another unanticipated consequence of being very self-aware is a growing fear of failing. Mental self-awareness can be so intense that a person carefully reviews every action they do to ensure that it meets their mental picture. However, what we do will not always meet our expectations. For example, you are upset with something someone said. You understand that drawing a line and saying, "Oh, don't mention this because it bothers me," is the most logical course of action. Rather, you lose control and get outraged. You may subsequently regret your actions because you realize they were wrong. What's even more annoying is that despite knowing it wasn't right at the time, you went ahead and committed that harmful action. How can this be solved? Examining many angles on this dilemma offers a diverse variety of opinions. Some, such as Pessoa, recommend accepting things as they are. Another theory is that because the issue only affects a small percentage of people during their lives, it should be regarded as a natural element of life rather than a contradiction. In hindsight, it is improbable that it will reach such a degree in today's world. Given the constant stimulation and discovery of new things provided by social media, it is difficult not to find anything that draws your interest. People we encounter can provide us with great amounts of support, both offline and online. Although growing self-awareness is important for personal development, our lives should not revolve on it. Outside of our tiny bubble of self-awareness, we can act and feel whichever we want. Being self-aware means allowing oneself the comfort and space to completely feel and experience within reason. However, if you don't have everything figured out, try not to be too hard on yourself. It simply and naturally occurs.